Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Home Studio Simplified channel. This is our weekly live stream. I say weekly with air quotes now because my life is crazy and my schedule is crazy, and it's getting crazier as the days progress. However, with that being said, it's crazy in a good way, and I'm really enjoying some of the things that I've been involved in lately. If this is your first time being here, maybe you're wondering what this channel is all about. This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and help you create professional sounding music in a less than professional space. The motto around here is that we can dream alone, we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. Speaking of togetherness, there is an awesome group of individuals over at the 𝗶𝗃 Academy that's having a massive sale right now. You want to go over and check them out. Let's give a huge shout out to Warren Hewart and the 𝗶𝗃 Academy for being a sponsor of this channel and longtime good standing friend. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Today's video is sponsored in part by the 𝗶𝗃 Academy. The 𝗶𝗃 Academy offers affordable courses from mentors, world-class engineers, Grammy winners, and multi-platinum selling producers. And with the resources available on the 𝗶𝗃 Academy, you can learn how to create radio-ready mixes from the comfort of your own home studio. Most of the courses also offer multi-tracks that you can then add to your portfolio and begin to build out your business. Follow the link in the description of this video to head on over to the 𝗶𝗃 Academy today and start learning the skills that are needed to take your hobby or your business to the next level. Awesome. So thank you all once again for showing up. Thank you for always showing up. For those of you that have been frequent flyers here on the channel over the years, I really do appreciate it. And hopefully, over the years, I've provided some form of value to you, even if it's just entertainment in watching my shenanigans, which there's a lot of them. So, as you'll notice, I apologize for coughing into the mic there, clearing my throat into the mic. As you'll notice, I am still a little bit under the weather. I'm just now getting over whatever it was. It wasn't COVID. I got tested for that. And I'm COVID free, but it was definitely something. A little bit of fire throat, coughing, congestion, cool stuff that happens about this time of the year all the time. With that being said, though, thank you guys so much for showing up. Love each and every one of you. I'm going to go ahead and whenever you guys are ready, you can begin asking me anything. That literally means anything. So it doesn't have to be music related. If it is, that's cool. If it's Cakewalk related, that's cool. If it's Studio One related, I might be able to help you. I don't know. If it's Reaper related, I might be able to help you. But either way, I'm here to try my best to answer your questions today, whatever they might be. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to first in the chat, DJ Big Red 81. Let's give him a big round of applause for being first. Let's give DJP or Disc Jedi. Let's give him a big round of applause for being here today, as well as for Hard On Fishing and 𝗧𝗵𝗃. Good to see you guys. And of course, it goes without saying that we are very appreciative to see Crackly Software as well as Mark George up in here. Awesome. All right. So the first question has rolled in. This is awesome. Let me make sure that there is a way to actually host a Q&A. But I'm not seeing it now. Also, I have failed to make mention for quite some time now, but there is a wonderful feature called Kevin D. Russo, what is up? Sorry, didn't mean to leave you out, buddy. Now that you say that, I did see you up in here. I think I skipped over your name. Sorry about that. I think I got everybody. Oh, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 did not get to you either. Let's give him a big round of applause. He says, I don't have anything to ask. I just want to say to you and your quality tutorials are appreciated. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Awesome. So our first question we have in store for you today is, Can you make a video on phase issues, bass lines, drums, etc.? That's a good question. Hey, it's going pretty good, Kevin. Thank you so much for asking. I also did see a question that's not really sort of a burning question in here, but it was a question on, why is that showing up on my screen? That's crazy looking. Sorry. Shiny objects, squirrels. There we go. Anywho, that being, someone had asked, are we still having a listen together? Yes. There's still one more Tuesday left in the month of November. So that will be next Tuesday will be our listen together. Okay. So the question is, can you make a video on phase issues, bass lines, drums, etc.? Which is a really good question. And it's a topic that I've covered mainly during my, live mixing sessions, stuff like that. And I think I talked about it in depth during my, which microphone is the best to use live stream, that I did not too long ago. However, I think it would be kind of cool to, if I can here, let me try to pull up something for you. And it might be better to actually show you this in action rather than me just talk about it. But essentially, you're going to get phase issues, mainly when you have more than one microphone involved. So phase is literally the position of the waveform in concert with the position of a sympathetic waveform. So if you have two microphones, say for instance, you have them lined up and they're recording like a XY pattern stereo mic, for an acoustic guitar, say for instance. If you have those capsules perfectly lined up, setting on top of each other, you should get minimal phase issues. The problem occurs, especially with drums, when you go to your overheads and you have an overhead mic here and an overhead mic here. So then you have the capsules are farther apart. And what phase literally is the timing of that waveform. So this waveform, maybe it's a little bit closer. Maybe this one is just a little bit higher for whatever reason. Your OCD didn't catch that. And so this microphone here that's closer is actually going to pick up the sound quicker than this microphone. So the waveforms the sound is actually going to reach those microphones at different times. And because of that time variance, they're going to be out of phase. That being said, there is such a thing as a 3-to-1 ratio. So if this microphone is here, giant truck just went by. If this microphone is here, then this microphone needs to be 3 times the distance of this microphone from this one in order for them to be closer to being in phase. Now that still won't give you, perfect phase, but it definitely will be closer. Just to sort of showcase this here on the screen real quick, let me take you over here and let's zoom into, let me get more in the middle of my circle here. I can't stand it when talk about OCD. So as of right now, you're going to see, here's some waveforms. Okay. These are violin tracks, and this top track, I believe this is the DI track and this is the mic track. So because the DI, or basically the direct input signal, is going to be different from the microphone recorded symbol, there's going to be different times that noise reaches the mixer. In this instance, it was, I believe it was a Focusrite. So let me try to zoom in without, there we go. Make these waveforms a little bit bigger here so this will be easier to see. And then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom really far into these waveforms because I want you to see exactly what I'm talking about. So as you can see, this waveform at the top is actually reaching the audio interface just a little bit sooner than the other one. Yet these are also completely different waveforms, which means I don't have to worry so much about phase, but I'm still going to have to worry about phase in the sense of phase inversion. And this is actually better just if you just zoom into these right here. So if I zoom all the way in here, the peaks and the valleys of this waveform is going to determine what time it is arriving at its said destination. Okay. So as you can see right now, this, I probably need to make these brighter. It looks like it's a little bit hard to see. Let's use a yellow. There we go. So this little valley right here is not in alignment with this valley. In fact, this valley is kind of attacking this mountain. It's the best way for me to explain this, guys. So if this valley is going down and this mountain is going up, essentially you're having just a little bit of phase cancellation. So with that being said, how do we correct that? So in this case, it could be as simple as just nudging this over a little bit until it sets better in phase. And in fact, what you would see here, if I was actually to do that, is, and I'm going to have to take this off so we don't have any snapping going on. I'm going to put the cursor right here in the middle of this. So this will allow me to mark that area. And then if I was to move this over here, now they're more in phase. As you can see, the peaks and the valleys are aligned. So that would, technically, that would bring this track in phase. That might be all that it simply takes. Now, one thing that I've been doing a lot here lately, just because it's so much simpler and it's actually not very taxing on your CPU, is using an awesome plugin by our good friends over at Melda Audio called 𝗵𝗲. Now this plugin is amazing. So I can set it, in this case, I've set it to the group of a vocal. So here's my group settings. I've set it to vocal. Now it's not a vocal, it's a violin, but that's just what I'm using. And I put the same instance on this track here, which is my violin left. And now literally what I can do is, if I play these as they are, I'm going to bypass them first. Oh, I've got them muted. Hello. Okay, so it doesn't sound really too awful bad. We've seen that it wasn't really bad out of phase. But what I can do now is I can use this. All I have to do is insert 2 instances of the same plugin, make sure they're set to the same group, and then choose one of those plugins and analyze the actual input signal. So I'm going to do that now. I'll hit analyze, and it actually has to be playing. So that's probably not going to, yeah, that messed it up. So I'll hit play and then I'll analyze it while it's playing. So as you can see here on this plugin, it really didn't do much. But if I go down to this one, it's actually moved it by 321 samples. It listened to this, and with AI being involved here, it said it was actually 7.3 milliseconds off. So super cool. And it did not need phase inverted, as we already seen earlier, but if it did, it would automatically invert the phase or flip the phase. So is it a game changer? In this particular instance, because it was so close, it wasn't really that big of an issue. But the bigger issue is when you have stereo tracks like this and you're painting them, in this case, left and right by 60%. When you fold that down to mono, if they're not in phase, it's going to sound pretty bad. So just to clarify and to show that, actually, let's take our master bus. I'm going to flip this down to mono, and I'm going to bypass this plugin. We'll listen to it before and after. Okay, now I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to enable the 𝗵𝗲 align, which has brought them back into alignment. Now listen. Once again, bypass them. So on that initial note right there, you could almost hear where it almost sounded as if there was two notes playing at the same time. Now, when it's in stereo, you're not going to hear that as much. When it's flipped down to mono, you're definitely going to hear that. You might be thinking, well, when am I ever going to listen to this in mono? I've covered this extensively here on this channel, but there's a lot of indication that you're listening to a lot of things in mono all the time. You just don't necessarily think that you are. For instance, if you're in your car and you're driving and you're listening to a song that was mastered in stereo, yes, you're going to hear that throughout the car in stereo, but you're sitting closer to one speaker than you are to the other. So you're technically not really listening to it in stereo. LA Winter, what's up? Have you been keeping up with what BandLab is doing with Cakewalk and Cakewalk Next? I've been trying to. It's honestly, it looks like it's just going to be the exact same thing with a little bit of a different package, and they're going to allow the legacy plugins again. So, but anywho, back to the question at hand. Hopefully that helps you to better understand what I was talking about earlier whenever, we mentioned all that. So if it doesn't, please let me know, and I'll try my best to clarify that more. But I think that explains a lot. And when it comes to, excuse me, when it comes to drums, especially, I think I actually have, here's a whole thing of live drums that we just recorded for this track at the church. And live drums, yet again, as you can see, 𝗵𝗲 align on every one of these. And I've done the same thing with these here, making sure that, this one here, the hats were off by 634 samples. They needed inverted. So if I put this out to mono, let me make sure I solo that so we don't get any copyright infringements. Okay, now if we take 𝗵𝗲 align and bypass it, this is what we've got. So what you notice is your kick loses punch and definition. Your snare is still there, but it's not quite as like cracky, if that's even a word. Put it back in, and we've got punchy snare, punchy kick, cracky snare, and everything just sounds so much better. That snare is like smoking. So yeah. And then if we put back in, let's see here. See, I did the same thing for the saxophones. Did the same thing for the violins. Very cool. So that's sort of a long answer to a short question, but hopefully it'll help you to understand more about phase and what exactly that means. What does all that phase stuff. What are we talking about when we're talking about that? Awesome. And it looks like I have lost, somehow I've lost my, where'd that go? I've lost my doogie flopper. Okay. There it is. Sorry, guys. I was trying to figure out what just happened to my... That was weird. Okay. Turkey says, and this is kind of a, not so much a question, but it is a question in a way. But he says, take a YouTube tutorial, mix tutorial. The person has their room acoustics, sound ID profile, and YouTube streams at their rate. Then I play it on my system. Do we even truly hear what we should to learn mixing? I think the main thing when you watch someone's live stream, like for instance, on my live stream, what you're going to be hearing as I'm making these changes, you're going to be hearing directly what's coming out of my computer. So you should be hearing what I'm hearing. With that being said, you know, yeah, there is a little bit of, because YouTube has a way of degrading audio anyway, you're going to have, you know, a little bit of junk that you got to kind of sort through. And YouTube is going to degrade it to a certain extent. However, what I have noticed listening back to my streams is it's pretty spot on. I mean, it's not like so much that I've just been like, forget it, we're not doing any live streams like this ever again. And I have checked that in the past because I wanted to make sure the very thing that you're asking right now, like, am I even able to teach people this way? And yes. And I think a lot of it too is just the principles. Once you learn the principles of what I'm doing, or what some other said mix engineer or content creator is doing, once you learn those principles and the precepts behind it, a lot of it, this is going to sound weird, but you don't necessarily have to hear what I'm doing because you're getting the concept of it. So it's kind of like, you know, what's a good analogy for this? So instead of me, I was thinking of the whole, like, teach a man to fish and he'll eat for whatever, but that's not really, doesn't apply here. But what I'm trying to say is, like, so if you learn the principles behind tying a fishing knot, you're going to, over time, you're going to develop a way that you do it differently than the way that I do it. But once you learn the concept of why you tie the knot, you're going to understand, oh, I need to take a little bit of extra time to tie that knot in this way because it's going to help to keep the fish on the hook and keep the hook on the line. The same thing sort of applies here with, you know, watching these online tutorials and stuff. Like, they can show you how they tie the hook, so to speak, but still, once you get the concept of you need the hook, whatever it might be, whatever mixing ninja trick they're showing you, once you get the concept of what you need and you get the basics of how to achieve it on their end, you can tweak it with your ears on your end. So I believe, yes, you know, there's a little bit of a disconnect, but I don't think it's so much that you know, you have to just hang your hat up and say, all right, forget it. We can't train anybody online anymore ever again. It's just not going to work. So Norm Evans says, how do you get full length channel strips and tracks on the same screen? Well, that's a good question. And this is one that's easily answered. Let me pull up Cakewalk again here. And I actually was not going to pull up that same project because it's rather large and it took a minute, and I opened it anyway. So we'll go over to the desktop here. Okay, so I've got making sure I got your question up here on the screen. Good deal. And when this thing finally opens, now actually the addictive trigger, I think, is probably the most CPU intensive plugin that I've got on this mix. Well, 𝗧𝗵𝗲. 𝗧𝗵𝗲 is a resource hog, but man, it's awesome. Okay, so if I go up to views, let me zoom in here. So if I go up to views, click on this here, and I go to track view, that's then going to pull up a separate screen. Sometimes it'll pull it up, or not track view, sorry. I'm looking for console view. That's it. Okay, that's then going to pull up a separate screen. I've lost my mouse again. I love it when this happens. Okay, so I'm stabbing in the dark again because I've lost my mouse. Okay, so if I pull up this screen here, this is actually a detachable screen. So I can literally like move this around anywhere. I can even dock it down here if I wanted to. But in order to get it full screen like this, what I need to do is go to strips. And as you can see, I can show various things based off of how they're checked. So, and then right here, widen all strips and narrow all strips. So that makes it kind of look more like Pro Tools in a way, which I never did care for the way Pro Tools looked, especially like something like this. But yeah, there's all kinds of different, you can check or uncheck each one of these modules. You can check or uncheck your buses. And there's various different options here as well. So yeah, super easy, but that's how you do it. Hey, there's my mouse. Did it come back? Of course not. Hey, there's my, did it come back? Of course not. Okay. So yeah, that's a super quick way to do that. Wow, that's rough. Okay. The Woke Breaker says, hello, chat. Well, hello, Woke Breaker. Hey, did you know that there is an HSS podcast? Did you know that I also have not released an episode since February simply because I didn't think anybody was even listening to it? The Woke Breaker says, weird question. There are no weird questions. Actually, yes, there is. Do not tell DJ that there's no weird questions. He will make sure there's one. How would you mic a hang drum, and how it has so many tones, highs and lows? That's a good question. I would just experiment, honestly. It would be awesome to, I would say, with a small diaphragm condenser. Probably, I've been getting a lot of good results, honestly, out of the Behringer ECM 3000 or whatever it is. It's the like $36 reference microphone. I've been recording acoustic guitar with that. I recorded that violin with it. I mean, now the saxophone, I recorded that with the Warm Audio WA-79, I believe it is, or WA-47, sorry. And that's a stellar microphone, but that's $699. Like, not a lot of people can afford that. In fact, I could never have afforded it. Thanks to some awesome individuals within my community who sent that to me, I would never have had a microphone that nice. So, so I would just experiment with it. I would use small diaphragm condenser just simply because it's pushing a lot of SPLs, and it's going to probably react better to a small diaphragm That doesn't, I'm not saying don't try a large diaphragm condenser, but absolutely try your best to do your best, and then just move it around until you find something that you like. And that's really the easiest way to go about it. All right. 𝗵𝗲 𝗧𝗵𝗲, yes. And now I've lost use of being able to see anything in the chat because that's missing. Okay. Let's try this again. It looks like I was able to somehow get that back. This live stream is the best. Okay. I know nobody said that. Okay, where was I here? You will thank yourself later. Okay. So Crackly Software says, forgot to say this was a question, but after your cool interviews about laptops, what other person or organization would you like to have an interview with? Doesn't have to be music. Ellie Winter. I think I did, actually. Yes, I did. Man, that's a good question. I would love to, man, I don't know. I think I'd really like to talk to the folks over at 𝗧𝗵𝗃. They're doing a lot of cool stuff over there. I'd love to pick their brains about how their stuff is working. Also, there's a new podcast that I recently stumbled across. Actually, there's about 3 of them that I've been binging on while I'm at work. One of them is called 𝗵𝗄 podcast. It's by a pastor, Nathaniel Urshan. It's a really, really good podcast on Bible study. It goes really deep into the words and what the words mean in Greek and Hebrew, and as well as just some awesome stuff on there. But then there's also, sort of for fun, I've been listening to the Wi Files, which is an awesome podcast, and I would love to interview AJ over there and pick his brain about all of the cool stuff that he's been covering on his podcast. I'm really big into like conspiracy theories and like ancient civilizations, and there's just a lot of cool stuff that can be found out there. And I've always been really interested in just knowledge in general. Just like I've always tried to be like a sponge, but then the problem is, unlike most sponges, I don't retain it. I soak it up, and then it just immediately, I lose it. So it's hard for me to retain much unless I'm just doing it continually all the time. Yeah. But that's a couple individuals I think I would like to have on the show at one point in time to pick their brain and talk to them. Mm-hmm. You know, actually, Crackly, I think it'd be cool to have you on. I think it'd be cool to pick your brain about some of the plugins that you've created. Like where did you get your start? How did you get your start? Do you have anything in the works? What's your take on AI? I mean, these are a lot of cool questions I'd like to ask you as well. So if we have some time, we need to set up an interview. So here's a good question. In Cakewalk, can I pull up 2 plugins at the same time? 2 EQs, 2 compressors while I'm mixing? Absolutely. Now there is a way to do it. It's kind of like there's a little trick to it. And I will show you that real quickly, actually. And this time I'll pull up a smaller project. This is another podcast that I'm working on, because the other one is failing horribly. So like, let's say I want to pull up the CA2A. You'll notice right up here in the upper right-hand corner, there's a pin. That just pins that plug in there, and you can still move it around, but it won't close if you go to open up another plugin. Pretty cool, huh? So now I can pin that one there, and I can open up another plugin. As long as I have them pinned, they'll all stay front of mind here. Now, if I go to open up another plugin, they'll all close and the other plugin will open now. Interesting. You're listening to Robert Rambles. Anywho, that's not the name of the new podcast, by the way. But anyway, I thought that'd be kind of a cool way to show you there. It's really simple, actually. So great question. We'll go back to the old desktop, pull up the old questions. Does anyone use the 𝗧𝗵𝗲 multiband compressor? I keep looking at it, but not sure how or where to use it. So a multiband compressor, if you're not familiar with how to use a compressor in the first place, can actually seem rather daunting. You pull it up, you look at it, you're like, whoa, holy smokes, this thing is crazy. So let's go back to the desktop. And I'll choose a different side just because I feel like it. And I'm going to go with Cakewalk here. And where's it at? 𝗧𝗵𝗲 multiband. So like I said, it looks rather daunting. It looks like something like, I don't know if I can get the handle of this. But check it out. So essentially this is broken up into bands. There we go. That's definitely bigger. And now I'm on the wrong side of the screen. That's fine. You can still see it. So on this band here, this is going to take care of this band. Okay, so this is my lows. This next band would be my low mids. This next band would be my high mids, my highs, and then my really highs. So as you can see, there's also crossover points here. These little crossover points can be adjusted. And these 5 bands will allow me to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here, 1, 2, adjust the compressor to only react to these areas. And each of those areas are also over here. And I can adjust the ratios and the knees, as well as the type of compression that's being applied, the attack, the release, and how much gain reduction or attenuation is going to be given to it. So, like I said, it looks rather daunting, but essentially, if I was to, let's take this portion right here, and let me loop that section right there. And I'll just kind of show you real quickly how this would work. This might be a little bit loud in your ears, so I apologize for that. And let me get my mug out of the way here. There we go. I don't know if that made it worse or better. Okay. So now if I play this, in this episode, we're going to discuss water baptism from a Pentecostal perspective. So, okay. So I just want to only affect the audio here. So as you can see, each one of these bands was reacting differently. And because the slider right here was not being moved. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to have to zoom back out. Because this slider here was not being moved, was all the way up at the top. That means it wasn't affecting the audio pretty much at all. Let me take off this limiter so it'll make it a little bit easier on the ears for you all. And then I'll make some adjustments here so you can kind of see it in action. slider, or this gauge right here, what's the word I'm looking for? Meter right here to the right of this slider is telling me how much gain reduction I'm getting. So now I'm going to be getting about 3 dBs of gain reduction, and on just the low end. So it's only compressing the low end. So maybe I want to compress only the high end and the low end together. So I can do that like this. And I'm going to select for 5, bring my ratio down. Okay, now we're getting 3 dBs on each side. Maybe I want to take these mids down a little bit here. So as you can see, there's different ways that you can affect this. And then I can adjust what the crossover points are. Essentially, it's like having 5 compressors on one piece of audio, but those compressors react to the frequencies different. Whereas if you put one compressor on it, it's going to attack all the frequencies the same based off of what your settings are. So this could be really useful for if you're doing this on like a drums bus and you only want to affect maybe just like the area where the snare resides and the kick resides, and you want to only compress those 2 areas. You can leave the rest of it alone and it'll sound more natural. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this. It seems more complicated than what it really is though. So don't get overwhelmed with it. Take some time and really play with it and hear it in action. And you should be able to, within a matter of no time, you'll be able to wrap your head around it, I'm sure. There's a lot of smart folks on this channel, I'm sure. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 says, Robert, are you making progress on your song? Actually, yes, I am. I've passed it off to someone else, and they are giving their 2 cents on it. We are collaborating. I thought it would be better to do that anyway, because I really, the gentleman that I passed it off to, I really appreciate his musical tastes as well as his musical prowess. I wanted to get his opinion on some things, so yeah. All right. Okay. Wow. I love it. Thanks. I'll try. Afternoon here at least all. Eugene Smith music. What's going on? I use the 𝗧𝗵𝗃 in Reaper a lot. Yeah. It's very similar to that, actually. Who is your favorite all-time band, and also who inspired you to get into music or recording? That's a great question. So right out of the gate, if you guys have been around here for very long, you know exactly where I'm headed right now. My first real like shove into music where I was like, man, I want to play guitar. I want to start writing my own songs. I want to learn guitar, was definitely Rush, like hands down. I grew up on music that was actually from an era a lot older than I was, and I gained an appreciation for that music very quickly. And one of the things that really stood out about Rush was the fact that when I learned that they were only a 3-man band and yet was making all of that soundscape, the lyrical content, the way that they would tell stories in their songs, almost like modern day bards, and the really unique way that they incorporated solo work from the guitarist perspective. Alex Lifeson has been a huge inspiration to me. In fact, if there was another person that I could get on the podcast to interview, it would definitely be Alex Lifeson. I would love to talk to him. So if you're listening, Alex, dude, let's make it happen. That would be a dream come true. So did you get the multi-tracks from Mismatch? I think I did. I'll have to check. Brother, it's been crazy busy. There's a lot of stuff that slipped through the cracks here lately, and I do apologize. With that being said, Rush, Alex Lifeson, that old 70s, 80s style music is just what I grew up on. You know, and then I started getting into like a broad spectrum of everything. I mean, I was listening to, at one point in time, I was listening to Marilyn Manson. At one point in time, I was listening to 𝗍𝗵𝗃 and Pantera. At one point in time, I was listening to ICP and Bone Thugs-n-Harmony and 𝗍𝗵𝗃 𝗧𝗍𝗀. At one point in time, I was listening to 𝗵𝗲𝗔 and 98 Degrees and Whitney Houston and sort of that pop side of things. Days the New, Creed, bluegrass music like Earl Flatt and Scruggs, Southern Gospel. I mean, you name it, I have listened to it. Miles Young, Buddy Davis, Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, Chopin. I mean, there has been no musical genre that's been off limits to me as I was growing up that I listened to predominantly. I just listened to everything. And of course now my musical tastes have changed dramatically, and I'm listening to mainly modern worship music and old hymns, Christmas music right now. Actually do have a Christmas CD. I don't think I've ever even told you guys about. But with that being said, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Cool. No, anyway, but yeah, I've listened to a lot. So my musical taste, or what has inspired me past that point of the initial thrust into music, was just everything. Pillar? Absolutely. Yeah. She said hello dressed in yellow. Did you get the multi-tracks that I sent to you for Mismatch? I believe I did. Yet again, my apologies. I'll have to go back and check. Robert, what was the first song that you wrote? Can you still play it, or Lost in the Ether? Man, the first song I wrote, I think I want to say like the first song I wrote. It might have been Shelf. And yes, I can still play it. Still know most of the words. Wow. Shelf, maybe followed by Wind in My Sail, maybe followed by Drifting Away. Those were like the three top songs that I felt pretty accomplished when I wrote them. And everything else was just sort of covers up until that point. But when I did start writing my own music, it became an addiction to me. I just wanted to write more and more and more. And I have notebooks full of songs that I've never even, they're mainly just poems now. Young MC, bust a move. Is it preferable to bust a move or bust a groove? As long as you don't bust a knee, you can do either one. Because you can't get into the groove unless you bust that move. Awesome. Well, we have reached our hour mark today. And I don't see too many more questions that are flooding in. So that's a good thing. I do want to go ahead and make sure I don't save over that. I do want to go ahead and make mention of the fact too that I just purchased my first plugin that I've purchased in a long time. And that was the 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 plugin. I don't know if you guys know this, but the version that I had earlier was a beta version. Let me see if I can pull that up here. And they have recently changed it from 𝗏𝗏 voice separator to Supertone. And the beta will actually be terminating December the 1st. So if you want to get your hands on this, let me go over here and yeah, so this is the plugin that's now being, it's now called Supertone. Now, it looks a lot better. The price tag is not too desirable. However, what I would tell you is, if you're here in the chat, here is a code that you can use to get it for $29, and you don't have very long to use that. Cool. So if you do happen to go over and get this, I'm not an affiliate. I'm not making money off of this. It's a great plugin, and this is a great price. So if you put in beta 29 at checkout, you'll go over here to buy now. And when you get in here, you'll go add discount right here. And then right here, you'll put in beta 29, hit apply, and that will bring it down to $29. Oh yeah. So go and check that out. If you want to get your hands on this plugin, I did several different tests with this thing when it was still in beta. And if it's anything like it was in beta, oh my goodness, this thing is amazing. It's only got 3 knobs, but it works so well. If you have a lot of reverb that's like baked into an audio, like an audio recording of someone's voice or something like that, it takes it out. And I believe it even works on instruments too. I haven't tried that yet. If you have, like for instance, I had literally taken my iPhone, set it down on the table, and recorded a quick podcast with an individual. It was sort of like guerrilla tactics. They didn't know that I was actually recording, and I did that on purpose so that I could just get a really organic sounding conversation, and it worked. It worked very well. And so when that individual, when I said, hey, I just recorded our first podcast together, they were like, oh, okay. Well, I took it back home and, plugged it into the old computer. And then immediately I was like, oh my goodness, that sounds like junk. However, make sure I got this here. Yeah. However, when I put this plugin on it, it was like amazing. I was like, wait a minute, what? So yeah, very, very impressed with this plugin, and hopefully I would say it actually works better than it did in the beta version. I would hope. So we shall see. Looks like they're being a little tricky here on how to actually download it. So you got to go. Okay, I see. Here it is. I'm itching to download this thing right now. So DJ says that says, I got something for you to check out. If you have drum bleed, this works wonders. It's on sale for $24. Ooh, cool. Okay. What is this? Silencer. Nice. Okay, so it's basically kind of like a gate. Oh yeah, it says right there, gate. Okay, hello. I would assume though, if you've worked with plugins a lot, so I'm sure it's more than just a gate, but it definitely looks like it's simply just a gate. All right, here we go. Supertone. Finish. Good deal. Open up Cakewalk. It's going to search for it. Boom, there it is. I bought it and my computer won't let me use it, but Goyo worked fine. Really? Are you talking about the plugin boutique? The gate that he just talked about? Well, that stinks. Or are you talking about Supertone? It better let me use it. That's the first plugin I've bought in forever. I haven't bought any plugins because I haven't had to. Like most of these companies just send me stuff, whether I want it or not sometimes. And I have to purge all of my plugin folders and be like, okay, guys, I don't need 16 different compressors. I just like to use 2. All right, let me see here. Let's Yet again, if you find this content helpful, if you find it useful in any way, shape, or form, consider using the super chat feature. I won't necessarily get that money now, but usually every month, I'll get an extra little kickback from that from YouTube for individuals who help to sponsor the channel in that way, shape, or form. That's the only way that I'm actually taking any kind of monetary donations or anything like that now. I don't have a website or courses that I'm selling. It's all free now. So, all right, let's see here. Clear. I'll pull it up. Watch it crash my session. A debugger has been found running in your system. Please unload it from memory and restart your program. Interesting. Fatal error. Okay, that's not cool. Yep, it's crashing Cakewalk. Well, until they get that fixed, I wouldn't necessarily, well, I'd go and buy it while it's $29, but I would maybe not install it until they fix that. That stinks. And here I was all excited to do that. That'll teach me to be excited about stuff. Boy, it takes forever, don't it? Okay, now let's try this. Well, now Goyo is working just fine. Maybe it's only doing that because it's still in beta. Like it's not officially released. Lord, I don't know. So Goyo is still loading up just fine. So I'm going to real quickly here. Yeah, so that still works. Took the ambience out of it. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm assuming that what's happening there, Joe, is that because it's still in beta, they probably have a debugger on the new version that they have yet to take off. So that's probably, I'm assuming that's what's happened. If not, they're going to get several hundreds of emails, I'm sure, about this. So the last question I will take here is, Robert, do you still provide the services listed on Discord, mixing, etc.? Yes. Yeah, I will always provide those services, as that's really what my side hustle was supposed to be about in the first place. It just kind of turned into content creation and course building and other stuff. So awesome. All right. Well, that's our hour. My wife is out of the shower. That rhymed. I rhyme all the time. I don't even try. It's just, I'm that kind of a guy. I'm a poet and just don't know it. Sometimes I try to show it, like right now. Fat cow. Anywho. But yeah, thank you all so much for showing up. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. And it feels like we're missing something here. I'm not sure, but
the Wheel of Awesomeness. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We can't leave until we spin the wheel.
All right. What's the wheel say? Casey, thanks for being a good person today. We got a song feature, so we're going to try to pull this up here, and hopefully somebody will be able to win a song feature. Now, essentially what the song feature is you sending me a copy of a song that you would like played here on the channel, preferably a non-copyrighted song, and absolutely without any vulgarity, cuss words, lewd language, suggestive themes. This is a kid-friendly show. I'd like for them to be able to tune in at any time and be able to watch the videos that are found here without having to be subjected to things that they should never be subjected to. If their parents want to do that, that's on them, but I'm not doing that. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start a giveaway here in the chat. And all you simply have to do is type in the chat, exclamation point, capital H, capital S, capital S, within the next 3 minutes to get a song featured here on the channel. Awesome. We got Crackly Software up in here. We got DJ Big Ready to One. 2 minutes and 22 seconds left. Eugene Smith music is now in the running. Oh, look, we got 𝗍𝗶𝗂𝗀𝗃. He's coming in strong. Who will win? No one knows. Joe is now in the running to win. We've got 2 minutes and 8 seconds. What do you say, Casey?
I'd say on this top 20 countdown of all the individuals who are putting their songs in here, I think I need to put a song in here.
Really? I had no idea that you had any kind of musical prowess at all.
I don't. Just like you. That's right. I can tell people that I do, but I'll just never release a song. Like you.
Wow. You know, that's just, wow. That's low. You have went to an all-time low. Did DJ Big Red 81 put you up to this? Because I'm pretty sure that Deej, he's really been harping on me about this whole getting a song put out thing.
I don't even know who you're talking about. I have no clue.
Okay, well, with that being said, there are 5 people in the running. We have 1 minute left. If you would like to get a song featured here on the channel, and you're one of the 14 that are watching that didn't enter, this could be a good time for you to do that. And while we're waiting on that, let's spin the wheel again.
Hey, I didn't push that button. Wait, how are you spinning the wheel without me?
Casey, you're getting weak, man. You know, we've tried to make this work. I just don't know if you're working out anymore. I just don't know.
Anywho, we've got a favorite. Who's your favorite host, Robert, or the obvious choice, Casey Kasem?
Casey, what are you doing? You can't just take over the show like that. Like, did you honestly think like you were just going to be able to? I mean, we already know what the answer is going to be. It's obvious that it's going to be you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they hear me all the time. They hardly ever get to hear you. So whenever they do hear you, they're like, "Oh wow, it's Casey," you know? I mean, none of the above. I knew it.
Congratulations, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗧𝗵𝗲. You just won a song feature on the HSS show. HSS stands for Harry.
Whoa, get out of here. What are you trying to? Oh my goodness. I don't know what about this guy. While we're doing this, let's give a huge shout out to these individuals who have just recently subscribed to the channel. Enigma, Joe Lanigan, the Classical Pond, Chris Cavilla, 𝗧𝗵𝗅 Yusef Khan. All right. You know that guy, he's just all right. Andre Luis Chagas das something. It's a long one. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Appreciate all of your support in that manner. By the way, if you are watching this show today and you have not subscribed, this would be a great time for you to just go ahead, hit that subscribe button. And if you like the content that we're putting out here today, it would be awesome for you to just go ahead and hit the like button as well. Like, why haven't you done it already? You know, I mean, you've been here for how long and you've never hit the like button. So that's weird. Now, if you don't like all of this, okay, feel free to just hit that dislike button twice. Really show your discontent by hitting it twice. Congratulations to 𝗧𝗵𝗲. You just won a song feature. So please send me that song and I will do my dead level best to actually remember that song. Also, there is a song contest, Listen Together, next Tuesday. Lord willing, everything works out the way that it should. And we will be listening to all of the November submissions. That's going to be cool. So, no, I'm sorry. We'll be listening to all of the, November submissions. What am I thinking? I don't know what I'm thinking. Do I even think at all? Do not hit 3 times, DJ. What are you trying to do here? You're thwarting me. But no, seriously though, I do love each and every one of you. And I thank you so much for hopping on here, for hanging out with me, and for allowing me to answer in the best way that I know how your questions. So until next time, remember that we can dream alone. We can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. God bless y'all.